Alrighty. I was going to do some stuff today, but it looks like we've got rained out. So, I thought I might tell you a bit about what my sister's been up to and whatnot. A lot of you guys who've watched for a long time would have seen her place and the astronomical amount of fruit trees and stuff that she's got there up on the just inside the New South Wales border. Yeah, I've been talking to her a little bit recently, and yeah, she's gone and they got into doing vegetables in a pretty friggin' ridiculous level. Those of you who didn't know, I don't really expect you to or remember. The place they have has originally been used as a market garden place, and they've, it's got what they call the orchard, which means everywhere you go there's fucking fruit trees. They have one clear paddock in the front that's, I don't know, I think it's 9 acres or something. Yeah, they've gone and planted out a heap of potatoes, and that's only one of the things they've planted out. I think there was a lot of other vegetables, and she's got right into pigs as well, and they had sort of, they got 2 sows and a boar, and they recently had piglets. 2 were stillborn, 1 got stood on, and long and short of it is, they got 21 live out of original of 24 born, and they're all grown up quite well. The male pig had a few issues, bought it off somebody who didn't know what they were doing. It had lice, which you can't see, but apparently when it rains, these things are nearly a 1/4 inch long, would you believe it, and they're lice, but when it rains they all start moving, and then she grabbed hold of one and realised it was lice and had to get appropriate treatment. He also had mange, and apparently since that's been cleared, all his hair's grown back and he looks like a completely different pig. The lice lay their eggs in the pig's ear, which was another thing. Kept shaking his head and, oh, that's cute. No, it's because of the lice hatching in his ear. So anyway, she got all that fixed up with multiple medications and whatnot. And yeah, things have gone fairly well with the pigs. She's already, they're not full grown, but she started working out how to, organising people who want to buy them once they get to the appropriate size. But it's unbelievable. You get 2 pigs, and next thing there's pigs everywhere. You start with 3, and now we've got 24 live pigs. And it's like, holy smoke. If you don't sell these things on, you're going to be overrun by frickin' pigs. She actually says to me they're like the rats of farm animals. They make a nest. I don't know if many of you know this, because a lot of people don't. They actually make a giant nest. Yeah, it's like a bird nest big enough for a pig to lay in. And if you haven't seen them, go Google pig nest, and you'll probably see they're absolutely freaking huge. And one of them pulled out, she says, I don't know how I've done it, but it broke off this water line from, like, they're terrible at destroying things. Can't use plastic fittings, you've got to use brass or steel fittings for all your water lines, because they'll just destroy them if you don't. And even when I worked at the piggery, I saw that, like, they destroy everything. They're just so hard on things. You can't just do anything light duty or plastic, because it'll get smashed to bits. What this pig ended up doing was it pulled in 20 metres of water line, tore it off, and it broke, like, the water fitting on the shed. It, like, ripped the fucking thing out of the wall. And then it pulled 20 metres of water line in and wound the water line into its nest. So she's got this hose wound into the fucking, all the hay and stuff that it's used for its nest. there was a big apple tree, and she was grabbing apples off that to feed it to the pig, or that was the intention, as the apples had come in, and the brother-in-law accidentally went and, I can't believe it, it was the biggest and best apple tree they had, but he accidentally, you know, there was a miscommunication and he cut the fucking apple tree down. This is a colossal apple tree and he chopped it down. I don't know why. It's one of the best producing ones they've got as far as I've seen, but she's feeding a lot of rotten fruit and, you know, all stuff that's hit the ground and isn't so great to the pigs. Yeah. So anyway, they've had a good year, and she said everything seemed to come into fruit. When I was down there, you probably don't really remember, but there was, I don't even know if I showed it, there was an apricot tree and it had all of about 4 or 6 good apricots, the whole tree. There's been other apricot trees that have been dormant over the previous few years that she didn't even realise were apricot trees. Well, apparently this was the year for apricots, and it's frickin' things that she'd never seen fruit on are suddenly covered in apricots. Apricots all over the damn joint. So, dodgy apricots, worm-affected ones, bird-eaten ones, well, the pigs end up getting all of them. So yeah, they... You may know he's involved in building engineering, and they've got a business in that, you know, saving places from demolition by giving you know, instructions as to what needs to be re-engineered to stop the place from being demolished for places that weren't built properly to begin with, or some places that were built without a permit, or weren't built with, you know, engineered plans to begin with, just some hacked up blooming, you know, plans made by somebody who didn't know all they needed to know. And yeah, but that business is expanding to the point that, believe it or not, they've gone and I could hardly fucking believe this, they've gone and rented an entire floor of a building, not up in New South Wales, but down there where we are. There's like a 5-story building right in the CBD of a particular city, and I mean, it's right smack in the middle, and they've gone and rented out an entire floor of this 5-story building. I could hardly bloody believe it. And when I heard how much they got it for, I was frickin' shocked, like it was cheaper than I thought. I was quite surprised. There's going to be multiple offices. They're going to have their own office, and they're going to sublet multiple other offices to different tenants. And, well, you know, it seems they're actually finding tenants for it. And yeah, I haven't seen I've seen the building, you know, very vaguely, but I sort of forget it. You know, just in being in the CBD doing shopping in previous times. But my parents actually went in there and opened the whole place up for the telephone company guy to come in and set up all the high-speed internet stuff and whatnot. And for one of the tenants to, who was considering the place to have a look through. And yeah, of course, in due course, I'll probably get a chance to have a closer look at it. I don't think I'll be showing any of you guys, but apparently the views are fantastic, and you got glass around the place, and they got there's a whole cluster of office chairs that were left behind, big leather ones, and even a bunch of TVs, some of which are fairly significant sized TVs, all flat screens of course, that are mounted on the wall. Father turned one on and it's still all wired up to antennas and everything. You got all channels and everything on it. So yeah, it's it's a colossal step ahead, and sort of shows how their business is moving ahead. You know, you put in a couple of years' effort, and especially if you're heading in the right direction, you know, you can grow quite surprisingly. And as a result of all this, I'm likely to see my sister more often than I have. You know, even though it's a ridiculously big distance. I don't know if I'd say ridiculously big, but it's a serious distance between where she lives and down here. So I'm probably going to see her more and probably see the brother-in-law more as well in due course of them setting up this branch of their business. So yeah, anyway, that's what's happening with my sister.